But your top military advisors warned against withdrawing on this timeline. They wanted you to keep about 2,500 troops.
No, they didn't. It was split. That wasn't true. That wasn't true.
Well, that was President Biden back in August, claiming nobody warned him against withdrawing from Afghanistan. But Mercy, in stark opposition, General Mark Milley said under oath that President Biden was warned and urged not to withdraw by Pentagon officials. Then this week, new reports out from the Washington Post saying U.S. commanders told military investigators that senior White House officials and State Department officials resisted their efforts to rally support for more detailed planning before exiting Afghanistan. NBC's Lester Holt asked the president last night if he ignored the military's warnings. Watch this.
Does any of that ring true to you?
No. No. That's not what I was told.
That you were told that the U.S. administration officials were prepared, they knew it was time to get out?
No, what I was told, no one told me that.
All right, so someone's not telling the truth here. Let's ask member of the House Armed Services Committee, Missouri Congresswoman Vickie Hartzler. Congresswoman, welcome back to the show. I mean, somebody's lying here. It's either Biden or it's General Milley. It's either Secretary Lloyd Austin or dozens of Army officers. So either President Biden ignored their advice, which is concerning in and of itself, or they're lying about the advice that they gave the president, which is also concerning, especially as what advice is he getting or ignoring as we're about to have this invasion from Russia into Ukraine at any moment?
Yes, this is not a good place to be, where you have different sides pointing fingers at the other and trying to avoid responsibility for a botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. And it was the worst foreign policy failure, I believe, in our nation's history. And I lay it at the feet of President Biden. I'm a senior member of the Armed Services Committee. We did have some hearings earlier on Afghanistan in the last couple of years, and you could just see that this was problematic. And when President Biden announced that he was going to set this arbitrary date to withdraw from Afghanistan on September 11th, no less, then where were the plans? And even on Armed Services Committee, we kept asking, where are the plans? How are you going to get the equipment out? How are you going to get the Americans out? What's your plan for the SIV visa holders, our interpreters who worked alongside? And we always got this sense of, well, we're working on it. But now we see, and I believe the Army, that they did give advice on how to leave in a more orderly fashion. And the Biden administration was just in denial, or actually prohibited and put roadblocks into some of their plans. And as a result, we have billions of dollars of equipment that was left. We withdrew the troops and brought the levels down such before so that we left Bagram Air Base and they could only guard there in the city of Kabul. And we didn't have a plan to get out or evacuate in an orderly fashion, and we left Americans behind. It is unconscionable.
Yeah, any American should feel just so insecure right now, knowing that Joe Biden is the one who's leading our foreign policy. He botched the Afghanistan withdrawal. He not only left Americans behind, but he also abandoned the Afghan women and children and left it all in the hands of a brutal Taliban regime. And now we're dealing with a Russia-Ukraine crisis, and he's off to Camp David and doesn't even answer any questions. But let's figure this out. So if he wasn't able to get Americans out of Afghanistan successfully, how is he going to do this in the Russia-Ukraine situation? Let's take a look to what President Biden said to Lester Holt when he was asked about whether or not he could rescue Americans in Ukraine. Take a listen.
Not even on behalf of simply evacuating Americans.
No, how do you do that? How do you even find them? This is not like, I'm hoping that if in fact he's foolish enough to go in, he's smart enough not to in fact do anything that would negatively impact on American citizens. But
have you told him that?
Yes.
You've told him that Americans will be a line that they can't cross?
Well, I didn't have to tell him that. I've spoken about that. He knows that.
Congresswoman, all I have to say is give me a break. Do you actually think that Putin's going to listen to President Biden?
Oh, he doesn't care. I mean, this is infuriating. I mean, clearly, he didn't care about the Americans that are still in Afghanistan or have a plan to get them out. And now here he's signaling that we're not even going to save if there's Americans in Ukraine and Putin goes in. He goes, how would we do that? Well, let me tell you how you do it. You turn it over to the veterans who are now still doing rescue operations in Afghanistan because our country left them behind. Ordinary Americans who served our country said, we don't leave that man behind. And they are still organizing operations, getting people out of Afghanistan. And it is just a shame that we are having to rely on people who aren't currently in leadership in our country to save our Americans. I think Biden needs to be talking to them because they're the experts that are ones that are actually committed to our citizens and are getting them out, and they could get them out of Ukraine. But most importantly, President Biden needs to quit acquiescing to Putin and to encouraging him basically to go in and to attack this freedom-loving country.
Well, hopefully he would listen to their advice if they gave it. You're also on the China Commission. We had Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, today saying that China doesn't have enough money to supplement the tough sanctions that we will put on Russia if they do invade Ukraine. Do you agree with that?
Well, China has already signaled that they're going to start buying Russia's oil and gas. If we put sanctions on that, they came out with this agreement. They're going to help them financially, and this is not what we want to see. These two countries working hand in hand against us and those who are freedom-loving in the world, and we're seeing this growing alliance between them, and that is very, very concerning. I think that we should be tough now, and we should lay down the law and say this is not acceptable. When we should be sanctioning now Russia and saying you need to back off your troops if you want these to be sanctions to be removed. Now is the time to act to get the Ukrainians the anti-air, anti-ship weapons capabilities. Now is the time to reinforce their efforts, not afterwards.
Congresswoman, we have about 30 seconds here. Give us a sense of what you think NATO's role will be if and when Russia invades Ukraine.
Well, they should stand together and slap the hardest sanctions that they can on that country. And they should have, of course, stopped the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. That should be a given. But they also need to take steps to become energy independent again and to reverse their new Green Deal programs that have made them vulnerable by reopening their nuclear power plants, their coal-powered plants, quit being so reliant on Russia.
Congresswoman Vickie Hartzler, thanks for your time this evening. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.